Is the 6 versus 1 matchup in the NFC. Is the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles going into the Big Easy, into the Superdome to face the Saints, #1 overall seed. Uh, man, two teams met earlier this season. Uh, Saints just beat down the Eagles. Was the score? That final score 48-7 in that game. Obviously, the biggest difference from that game to this game coming up, Carson Wentz not the starting quarterback for the Eagles. Nick Foles is, and all Nick Foles does is come up big in the biggest games. I mean, he's creating a real quarterback controversy in Philly. You know, of course, Carson Wentz dealing with a back injury this time. As they say, his recovery time is 3 months. I mean, I feel bad for him. I feel bad for Wentz. I feel bad for Wentz because I mean, he definitely wants to be out there, and he definitely didn't wish this upon himself. I mean, he's two unfortunate injuries. So, I mean, severe injuries, I should say. Right before playoff time, and then you just have to sit on the sideline and watch your replacement. Especially last year, lead the team that you were supposed to be leading to a Super Bowl. And then he had to sit on the sideline this year and watch Nick Foles lead the Eagles to their biggest win in the regular season over the Rams, and then and then they survive against the Bears in Chicago last week. I mean, just think if Foles and the Eagles can pull off this upset and get to an NFC Championship game, like what do the Eagles do? What do the Eagles do? Because Foles is going to get paid. He's going to get paid by someone. And this is why the Eagles held on to Foles, because of the fact if Wentz gets hurt, then they'll have Foles to fall back on, like they do this year. Like what does the Eagles do? I mean, Foles is he's gonna. I'm trying to think the word I want to say. Foles is gonna demand big time money because he wins big time games. It's like I think it was someone on ESPN said he's the anti Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins was that guy that puts up great numbers in the regular season, but can't get you to the playoffs or doesn't do well in the playoffs. I mean, Nick Foles is just the opposite of that. I mean, regular season, yeah. But in the biggest games of the year, he's that dude. So I don't know, man. It's going to be a very interesting offseason in Philly, especially if Nick Foles can continue having success. I mean, then you look at Nick Foles' weapons that he has around him. Aguilar was really improved, in my opinion. Alshon Jeffrey, who went back to Chicago and showed out. Well, he had that quote about how he loves Philly. He just worked in Chicago, a shot at Chicago. He got his first catch in the game against Chicago. He kind of waved his arms, telling the Chicago, let me hear. They booed him. But he had a hell of a game. But, yeah, I mean, and then Ertz, the single season receptions leader for a tight end in NFL history. And then Adams and Sproles in the backfield. Heck of a combination. The Philly defense, I don't believe they're as good as last year, but they definitely played a good game against the Bears last week, only holding them to 15 points. I mean, Chicago's offense didn't set the league on fire, but they still had a pretty decent year. But then you look at the Saints on the other side. I'll be real. The Saints for about a month, maybe it was the last 2 weeks of October, and I'm sorry, the whole month of November, they kind of stunk it up. I mean, Drew Brees had that bad stretch of games where I think he kind of let Mahomes. He kind of lost his MVP chances to Mahomes with that bad stretch of games that he had, but he bounced back. He bounced back, finished the season well, and you know got the Saints to the #1 seed. Then you have the dynamic rushing attack of Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram. I'm just blank right now. And then Michael Thomas, who led the league in receptions this year. Great offense, but really the story of the season for the Saints has been how great the defense has been. Been a lot of seasons in New Orleans for Drew Brees and Sean Payton. Their defense just was horrific. They could always score points, but they would end up being outscored by the opposition because of the fact that their offense couldn't stop anybody. Their defense couldn't stop anybody. But that hasn't been the case this year. I mean, all three phases of the defense have really improved. The D-line with Cameron Jordan and those guys, they've improved. The linebackers, Klein, and I'm thinking of Hawthorne. I think, was Hawthorne still playing for them? I forgot, but Klein's been really good for the linebackers. The addition of Eli Apple from the trade with the Giants, he's been big time for them since he came over. That defense has just been legit, and this is a scary team. Like I said, the offense has always been good with Brees at the helm and Sean Payton calling plays, but with this defense making plays and causing turnovers and getting stops, I mean, it's going to be tough for anybody to go in the Dome and win. The key to this game, or I should say the X factor of this game, is I believe Philly's ability to run the football. I believe Jonathan Adams has to step up and have a huge game. I just don't like Sproles to be leaned on in the passing in the running game. I like him in the passing game on third downs and screenplays and stuff like that. I just don't like him running in between the tackles. I don't know. I'm not because he's short, but you know, I just feel like this is a game for Jonathan Adams to establish himself. He's had a few good games this year, so you know, the Phillies' success will depend a lot on him. They're gonna need a strong running game because you know Doug Pearson's favorite play calls are RPOs, run pass options. They're gonna need the threat of the run to set up those RPOs to get the Saints defense to bite on those RPOs, which will lead to Foles finding those guys like Jeffrey and Aguilar and Ertz and stuff like that. So if Adams can run the ball effectively for the Eagles, I believe the Eagles will have a chance. The Eagles will have a chance. It's still going to be a tough task to ask anybody again ask anybody to go into the Superdome and get a victory. So I do have the Saints in this one. Trying to think of final score. I just think this will be the end of the Eagles celebratory run. I mean, they had a tough regular season and they fought hard. They got Nick Foles in there. He got some big wins, and he was able to get into the. He was able to get them into the playoffs with a couple big wins, but I think the ride's over for the. I think the ride is definitely over for the Eagles. 31-21. Saints move on to host the NFC title game.